I think what was interesting is I connected with Hans before I connected with Pete, if that makes sense. And so riding into that home for the first time, regardless of whether Pete and I would end up together, like that was never even a thought at the time. I'd connected with the kids. And so I think about my journey into Hans and sure, there's that element of wanting to do something and build this thing with your life partner, but there was also that genuine connection of, I actually just want to do all that I can for these kids. So my progression into Hands started it was very low touch. It was just helping with the events and kind of keeping out of the day-to-day running of it. But dinner table conversations and helping him ease the load on what he was doing just sort of took me further into that vortex. No regrets, absolutely no regrets.
Well, hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Property Management Podcast. Thank you so much for having me in your ears. Now, have you ever had one of those moments in life where you stop and think, is this really it? Is this all there is? You've ticked all the boxes, you've followed the rules, and you've done what you're supposed to do, but something deep down just doesn't feel right anymore. And maybe you've been living out a version of success that no longer aligns with your values, or maybe it never actually did. Well, I want you to know that you're not alone, and today's episode is going to light something up inside you. I'm joined by the incredible Claire Baines, CEO of Hands Across the Water, an international charity organisation doing extraordinary work for children and communities in Thailand. Claire's story is one of deep personal transformation, but more importantly, it's about what's possible when you stop playing small. You get honest about what you truly want and start living in alignment with your purpose. Claire didn't just make a change, she completely rerouted her life from corporate roles to leading a global charity. She's proof that saying yes to the unknown can open doors you never imagined. In this conversation, we talk about what happens when the life you're living no longer fits, what happens when you don't get the things that you want in life, and how to overcome that grief that just sticks with you. We talk about how to not become a victim of what life delivers. And we talk about when enough is enough and you're ready to create something more fulfilling, more heart driven, more you. We also explore the courage it takes to step out of your comfort zone, especially when it means blowing up the safe version of your life that you've built to survive. And I get it. I've been there myself. I've been on my own journey of massive change, like burn it all down and start again kind of change. And I know how scary, lonely, and liberating that can be. But the truth is, nothing changes until we decide we deserve more purpose, more alignment, more joy, and less pretending everything's fine when deep down we really know it's not. So if you're feeling stuck, out of alignment, or just craving something more meaningful, this episode is your permission slip to go find it. You'll be inspired by Claire's leadership, moved by her mission, and reminded that the most courageous thing you can do is say yes to the life that truly lights you up. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we did have a technical issue during this recording and my Zoom video dropped out about 4 minutes in. So I do apologize if you are watching this on YouTube without the video and without the images of the beautiful Claire Baines. Claire, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. This is our take two at getting this right. We had a little recording issue last time, so thank you for coming back a second time. Before we dive in, can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I Thanks for having me, Kylie. And take two. We just never know what this conversation is going to lead to, but let's go. So I am the CEO of Hands Across the Water. So we're a charity that supports kids in Thailand. And I guess I've been in this role now for probably about 6 years. And I used to work in the corporate world. And after doing a bike ride back in 2011, I just fell deeply in love with the charity and ended up falling in love with the founder as well. But that's another story. And found myself very much working within the charity, doing their events, volunteering, and then very quickly it became more than that. So I've been the CEO here for the last 5 years, 6 years, and it's going well.
Amazing. Now, you've got a really powerful story. I know you've just skimmed over your story really quickly there, but let's go back a few steps. And now you were working with REA in a corporate role that you absolutely loved. But what was the moment? And I think we touched on last time and the topic I really want to dive into is like aligning your life with your values. So, what was that moment in your corporate career that you went, hang on a second? This is probably not aligned with me anymore and I want more.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I had an incredible corporate career running events and worked for companies like ACP magazines and then found my way into REA where I built their national events and sponsorship program and absolutely loved my role there. The people were amazing and the company was amazing and I got to do some incredible like global events for real estate agents. So that's how I became connected to so many beautiful real estate agents. And it was really interesting. I was pulling together a program in San Francisco for our top 20 customers. Amazing program. We would visit Google and Facebook, and it was just such a fantastic program. And I loved being part of it. But interestingly, the week before that event, Pete had asked me to pull together or help him create a leadership program in Thailand, working both in the slums and up in one of our projects in Home Hug. So within a matter of a couple of weeks, I found myself, I was in Thailand pulling down a house and rebuilding it for a man who had lost everything. Fast forward to a couple of weeks, and I'm in San Francisco and staying in amazing hotels and just creating this beautiful, wonderful experience for my agents. And there was just something in it that I felt like my experience in Thailand really spoke to my values, who I am, wanting to genuinely help people versus while we were providing this incredible experience to real estate agents, there was just this real, I guess, crossover and I don't know, we were just banging heads around what that meant for me. So it's a bit of a light bulb moment, actually. I came back from that trip and sat down with the CEO, Tracy Fellows, at the time, and I said, I love what I do, but I just think I need to go and help people who need my help more. So yes, it was a big light bulb moment in 2015 now.
And I guess having found your life partner in that process as well, was that easy part of the transition or did that make it more difficult? Because I mean, I imagine you don't want to be, and I'm just going to say it, like you don't want to be seen to be leaving something just for a man or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really horrible the way I've said it, but you know what
No,
I
no,
mean.
no, but I get it.
You know what I mean. And I hope everyone listening knows what I mean, that you want to have your own path as well. So.
Yeah, and I think the beautiful thing about the relationship with Pete is I signed up for a bike ride off the back of hearing him speak at a conference. So I had no idea who he was, what his work was. And I found myself on this ride, and I was a 30-year-old woman stuck in a rut, just had no idea where I was going in life. Yes, I was single, but I wasn't going on the ride to meet the love of my life.
And that's a
And
disclaimer, isn't it? You're not going to, just because you go on the ride, you're not going to meet a husband. So.
absolutely, I cannot guarantee it. We have had a few love stories, but yeah, I can't guarantee it. But I think what was interesting is I connected with Hans before I connected with Pete, if that makes sense. And so riding into that home for the first time, regardless of whether Pete and I would end up together, like that was never even a thought at the time. I'd connected with the kids. And so I think about my journey into Hans and sure, there's that element of wanting to do something and build this thing with your life partner, but there was also that genuine connection of, I actually just want to do all that I can for these kids. So my progression into Hands it was very low touch. It was just helping with the events and kind of keeping out of the day-to-day running of it. But dinner table conversations and helping him ease the load on what he was doing just sort of took me further into that vortex. But no regrets, absolutely no regrets.
And here you are today, like you're the CEO of the organization, and you really do. And one of the things, like, obviously, I've been on the ride as well, which anyone listening is absolutely amazing. And you do, the experience you guys create is unbelievable. It's not just a charity organization, it's an experience. And we'll talk about that as well. But it doesn't seem like there's a hierarchy either. Like we say you're the CEO, but it very much feels like you're part of the team. It's everyone does their part to create such an amazing organization where everyone's values are on display for everyone to see from every part of the experience.
Oh,
And that's
absolutely.
intentional.
Yeah, yeah. Look, it's when you're running a non-profit organization, you've got to be very lean with your costs, with your resourcing. You're always under scrutiny as to where donor funds are going, how much you're spending on overheads and things like that. So it's always in the back of my mind. And I think you can carry that title of CEO, but for me, I'm just doing my job. And what that job looks like on any given day can be anything from writing copy for our next newsletter to leading bike rides in Thailand. So it's the work that I do with Pete. I think we work side by side really well. And I always make a joke that he's the big vision guy and has all the big great ideas, and I've just got to figure out how to pay for them. So 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 we work quite well together in that regard.
That's so good. Now, and I guess your journey hasn't all been roses and rainbows, and you've had your personal struggles along the way as well. And we did touch on that this is a really important topic to share for women, especially. Obviously, it affects, I mean, I know it affects men as well, but it definitely affects women. But I guess what are some of the mindset shifts that you've made to get through your personal struggles to still show up as the leader that you are for hands?
Yeah, thanks, Kylie. I mean, if I go back to kind of 2017. So Peter and I tried to have children, and we went through 4 rounds of IVF and all unsuccessful. So it was probably about a 4 year journey that we were both in this place of both working for hands, doing all that we could for the kids over there, but then had this kind of heartache and this grief that we were dealing with back home, trying to have kids of our own. And a lot of people sort of turn around and say, it's okay. It will happen when you least expect it. Something you do not say to someone going through IVF. And B, I was hearing a lot of, but you've got all these kids in Thailand. And while I do, and yes, I reflect now and I'm grateful that I've got those kids, but at the time it just didn't feel like that was what I wanted. I was like, I just want a baby of my own. But interestingly, throughout that 4 year period, there was moments and times that I was in Thailand, and it seemed like we don't see babies come into our home all the time. So the kids that come into our home, they're anywhere from babies up through to adults. But it's not often you see like really young babies. And it felt like through those 4 years that every time I went there, there was just another baby. And it was another story, another person for me to put my love and energy into. And so I think the universe was kind of sending me these little nuggets. And I'm really grateful to have been able to watch these kids now grow up. But I think the biggest thing going through IVF, getting to the end of my journey, not being a victim to what happened and just shifting my mindset around that was really hard. And I will carry the grief of that forever, but not living my life now as a victim of those circumstances. So I've made that conscious decision to throw my energy into my 3 beautiful nephews, my 2 gorgeous grandsons, my 170 kids in Thailand. So it's just shifting that energy and that, I guess, that maternal kind of pull in me, just throwing that into other people who deserve my love. So it's been an interesting journey. And I think now that I'm sort of 4 years out of that journey, I feel I'm comfortable talking about it, which not many people do talk about it. It's a very silent, people go through it with no conversation about it. So yeah, I feel like I'm at peace with it.
And tell me just, and I'm sorry you went through that, and life's roller coaster has all of our names on it. Like we are all going to have different things that are going to impact our lives, and that mindset is a really valuable lesson for whatever anybody is going through in life. But something that just triggered with me was What do you say to someone who was going through what you went through? You sort of touched on the things not to say, but what is the best way to support someone through that grief and that loneliness and isolation that I guess somebody feels
Yeah.
experiencing that? Is there anything? I mean,
It's always hard to know what to say. And it's like when someone passes away and you can go in with the token, I'm sorry for your loss, but what else do you say? And I think back to probably the toughest year for me was 2018. And that year for me, Pete and I weren't in a good place. The IVF had just put such a rift between us and we weren't communicating. And so it was a challenging year for us. And one of a very dear friend of mine, she would just check in almost daily. And it was just a text message. And it was just checking in, how are you? One foot in front of the other, one step at a time. There was no expectation for me to respond. It was just knowing that she was there, she was thinking about me, and she was holding me in this space that if I ever needed to pick up that phone and talk, I could. And I think that's sometimes all that we can ever do is just offer that safe space and offer it without expectation. So if someone is like, I've got a girlfriend going through something at the moment, and I just said, you don't have to respond. I'm just letting you know I'm here. And sometimes that's enough.
yep, somebody just holding that space for you.
Yeah.
Know that you're not alone. And I don't know if you're anything like me, but I'm very proud. So and I don't like to bring anyone else down to if I'm feeling sitting in that place, I need to sit in that place myself. And then when I'm ready and I'm feeling more positive, then I will reach out. But it's for connection. It's not, I don't want anyone to sit in that place with me. So
Yeah.
and it is so many things we go through in life. It is very personal journeys, but it's nice to know that you've got those people that are there. So
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
And it might be one or two people, but they're your people.
Yeah. So off the back of that 2018 year, and this is something we touched on in our last time podcast.
It's great chat.
Was then you moved into 2020 where the world changed for all of us. But that lockdown period for you and Peter led to some amazing transformations in the way that you guys ran Hands. So yeah, I'd love you to share that again on how you guys sort of came up with the new direction of Hands and how that's led to what you guys are doing today. Are you feeling overwhelmed and thinking about selling your rent roll? Don't worry, you're not alone, and HDNU is here to help. Whether you're ready to sell now or you just want to plan for the future, the friendly and approachable team at HDNU makes the process simple and stress-free. Hello, yes please. With over 30 years of expertise, they're not just about crunching the numbers. They genuinely care about helping you maximize your agency's value and get the best outcome for you. Their sales readiness bundle is like having a trusted advisor by your side. They'll work closely with you to assess your agency's key factors, create an easy to understand heat map of your strengths and opportunities, and then sit down with you for a 90-minute workshop to guide you on what to do next. They'll look at everything from rent roll earnings and rent arrears to compliance and team performance and explain it all in plain English. If you're planning to sell soon, HDNU can even handle the whole process for you, from finding qualified buyers to negotiating the deal. Their friendly, professional team takes the stress out of selling so you can feel confident every step of the way. And to get started, simply book in a meeting with the team today. Their link is in the show notes. They're here to help you move forward with confidence. Let's be real. Compliance is one of the biggest challenges in property management, and it can be overwhelming to navigate. It's time-consuming, stressful, and let's face it, one missed compliance check could lead to serious legal and financial risks, and no one wants that. That's where Sensor Insure comes in. Powered by smart sensor technology, it offers highly competitive building and landlord insurance, bundled with an ecosystem of smart safety devices. These include tamper-proof smoke alarms and water leak detectors with automated remote testing and a 24/7 accessible audit trail. Yes, you heard me right. Sensor Ensure is a game changer. It's always on and integrates seamlessly with your trust platform to streamline processes and provides live reporting across your entire rental portfolio. This ensures you're always meeting compliance requirements, giving you total peace of mind. No more waking up in the middle of the night stressed or worried that you've missed something or your team has missed something. So whether you're looking to improve your processes and efficiency, reduce stress, or protect your agency from risk, Sensor Ensure has you covered. You really should see how it works. I totally encourage you to book in a free demo today by heading to sensorglobal.com or the show notes to learn more about their solutions and how they can transform your compliance game.
Yeah, so no, 2020 delivered us some blessings, to be honest. It threw us into lockdown. So Peter and I moved up to our farm and just locked down up here, which was fantastic to rebuild a relationship that had been suffering in the previous years. So it was great for us personally. And then professionally, I was actually on the Digital Live bike ride on the 13th of March, 2020, and it was the last day of the ride. And I remember seeing my phone just ringing off the hook, and it was Pete telling me, so there was all these whispers of COVID, there was everything kind of going on at the time, but we were a little bit oblivious to it. All we were seeing was that Australia was running out of toilet paper. We weren't actually seeing what was actually happening. And so one by one, we were losing our bike rides. They were getting cancelled. So within 24 hours, we had 80% of our fundraising just completely wiped. So borders shut, bike rides cancelled, no more travel to Thailand. And as we know, that would end up going into 2022. So at the time, it was like, right, September 2020, we'll be back, we'll do these rides. But obviously that wasn't meant to be. So what ended up happening was Pete and I were thrown into this kind of pressure cooker environment going, well, what do we do? We've relied so much on Australians and our bike rides to raise our funds. So what do we do now that they've been taken away? And we were able to come up with some pretty wild and wacky online virtual kind of ideas back in the days where virtual events were just the latest and greatest thing. So we did a virtual bike ride for a month. We did a virtual dinner, which absolutely loved. So you could actually just sit at home and do your big gala dinner rather than having to get it dolled up and go out for the night. So it was fun. We raised a lot of money. The community got behind us. And so 2020 was, I guess, a promising year. But then as we got further into 2021 and the lockdowns continued and there was no signs of travel opening up, we sat down with our board and we said, okay, we can't sustain. We were fortunate that we had enough banked to be able to continue operating the homes. So we didn't have to compromise on education, food, shelter, everything that we do over there. But we were very quickly running out of those funds. So we were like, okay, how do we pivot, to use that 2020 word? And it was decided then that we would basically set up our operations in Thailand. So create a foundation in Thailand, create a social enterprise model in Thailand. So all the same structures that we've got here in Australia, but shifting it to Thailand to start to raise money on the ground, run experiences on the ground, and try and get Thailand to a place where it's not reliant upon Australia. So fast forward to 2025, we're now operating so we've got two foundations. So we've got one in Australia, one in Thailand, and we have a foundation over in New Zealand for, I guess, fundraising purposes for our donors over there. But sitting next to both charity models is a social enterprise model. So it's a business model that we've created in Australia and in Thailand, and they generate commercial income, they generate revenue through different events and experiences, all of which the proceeds feed back into the foundation. So once we've paid for our administration and overheads, we can then funnel everything back through to the foundation. So it just makes a really sustainable business model beyond if we get another COVID, God hope we don't. But if there was ever to be another COVID and the world shut down again, Thailand would be able to operate on its own without Australia having to do all the work back here. So it's still a work in progress. We're still getting there. But yeah, it's certainly proving to be a smart business model for long-term growth.
I think that's really valuable advice for anyone, any business owners that are listening, and especially in real estate.
Mm.
Markets change constantly, and the world we're living in now with AI coming in, everything's changing faster than it ever has in history. So learning to pivot and take valuable lessons from people who've been through these difficult, challenging times, I think is really important. So and maybe you can break down that a little bit more for us with your enterprise model and that sustainability, because you shared a little bit of it with us on the ride, but in terms of your hospitality school and your farms and stuff like that. And the other thing I really loved was that we saw a couple of your kids graduating through college and through university. And it's not just like a clinical care facility for
Mm.
children. It's actually a home. It's a place where they grow up, they're cared for, they're loved and nurtured as they would
Mm.
if they had their own family. Probably better.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're surrounded by lots of brothers and sisters. Yeah, look, when we first started Hands, it was all about building homes, food, shelter, clothing, education. And when we got to, I guess, sort of 15 years in, we were starting to see the kids finish high school, go on to university. Then 5 years after that, you start to see them graduate from university. And then what? And so our thinking has evolved in the last few years. And what we really stand for is about creating bright futures for our kids. And that can mean anything from we've got kids who have got Down syndrome and autism who will never be able to go into the workforce as we know it, but we will make sure that those kids still have a bright future, whatever that looks like. And then we've got kids who go on to university, we support them through that. And beyond that, they get employment. We've got teachers, we've got chefs, we've got a number of different, I guess, careers out there. But one of the things that we felt was really important was, and we've got this here in Australia, where not everybody wants to go to university. So there's kids who they just want to be a farmer working up in their local area. Tourism, hospitality and tourism and farming, two of the biggest opportunities for employment in Thailand. And so a few years ago, we sat down and we said, what if we created a hospitality training centre and an agricultural learning centre, and both of which would become sustainable income revenue models. So the hospitality training centre, for example, it would run and operate as a hotel. People come and stay, people eat in the restaurant, but it's a training centre for kids to learn housekeeping, how to make coffee, how to run a restaurant. On the flip side of that, we've got the agricultural centre. And I laugh at Pete because he's been thrown into this world of chickens. And we've had advice from some of our hotel partners that they have to go cage free by 2030. So there's all of these kind of limitations being put in. And there's no supply in Thailand. So we said, okay, well, what if we create this centre, build this chicken farm, teach the kids how to almost create their own small business off the back of that. And we've already got the customers. So you've got this income stream, you've got this employment pathway for the kids, and you don't even have to go to university for that. So it's giving kids the skills that lead to employment. So that's what we're really passionate about beyond the daily operations of food, shelter, clothing. That's just a non-negotiable. This is kind of the blue sky. Let's give these kids a bright future.
And you guys do such an amazing job. I am testament to the great work that you guys do, as are a lot of real estate industry professionals across the country. You fill lots of rides every single year. And I guess maybe share a little bit more. I mean, anyone that wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to share my experience. And I touched on it earlier. It's not just about you riding, you think you are riding for the charity and you are doing feel like you're doing a greater purpose.
Mm.
But also the way that you guys run the bike ride in particular, you get so much more personally out of it. And I know that's intentional. You guys created that experience like that. So maybe if you could just share a little bit about the bike ride experience and from your experience, what it's designed to give back to the people who do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, look, the bike rides have been such a successful model for hands. So we've been running them now since 2009. And the Digital Live Ride, which is what you were part of and has been part of the real estate community since 2019 now. So Steve Carroll, the brainchild of that one, we used to work together at REA, so hence the connection. And we sat down one day and said, let's shake things up for the industry. Let's do something that allows them to give back. And Steve had no idea what he was getting himself into. He'd never done a bike ride with us. But I said to him, I said, the relationships you will build on this ride will become lifelong friends. The connections you make, the conversations you have. And what that then creates is just this experience that as someone looking to sign up for the ride, you go, actually, I get so much out of this because of the relationships, the connections. Steve came to me on day 2 of his first ride, hadn't met the kids yet, hadn't had anything to do with hands other than just raising some of the money. And he came to me. I remember sitting down at the hotel. I had a Leo in my hand, and he said, Claire, I want to do this next year and I want to do it twice. I don't want to do one ride, I want to do 2 rides. And I'm like, but Steve, you haven't even met the kids yet. And he's like, I can see the value that this brings to this community. And it was just such a powerful moment of going, yes, we're there to raise money for the kids. And one of our riders said once, the fundraising's for the kids, but the ride is for them. And it really, it's an inclusive experience. It's not a testosterone driven, like you've got to be the first one in. And it's really such a team. The camaraderie that comes together to bring these rides to life is huge. And I
Got
talk
goosebumps
about,
thinking about it just then. Yeah.
and we've got so many return riders, like you're coming back,
Yeah.
and I, I'd be foolish to say that people come back for the kids. They come back because of what it gives them. And the beauty of that is our kids benefit from that. Yes, there's a connection to the kids, but we've all got that desire to do something that feeds our soul. And so it does, it absolutely feeds your soul. And the beautiful thing about the rides now is that we run them through Hands Experiences Thailand, which, if I go back to the COVID conversation, that was the social enterprise that we set up because of COVID and losing all of our business. And so what we're seeing now with that company is they run our bike rides. And we've now got Am, who is a young girl who grew up in our home. She went on to university, did a business English degree, was supposed to get an internship with the Novotel, but then 2020 hit and that was pulled. And so we said, well, come and work for Hands. Come and work for Hands Experiences Thailand. We'll put you through a tour guide training course. And so next year, she'll actually be doing her full Thailand tour guide license. And she wants to go on and continue working for Hands Experiences, so delivering the tours. So, you've got that connection with the kids, even with the suppliers that we're working with. So it's that real full circle.
Yeah, and it is an absolutely amazing experience. And I just want to, anyone that's listening that's feeling inspired, you don't need to be an amazing athlete. There's e-bikes that you can use now. Everything's broken down into really manageable, doable chunks of your time and your energy. So yeah, trust me, and you can get through it. And yeah, what is probably the best way for somebody to reach out who might want to do the bike ride or support you guys in other ways?
Yeah, the best way, so jump onto our website, so handsacrossthewater.org.au, and there's information there about our rides, there's opportunities to donate, we've got events coming up. So yeah, certainly jump on and check it out. But if you're thinking about it, the best piece of advice I can give is just say yes. And the rest will figure it out. The fundraising might seem daunting, but everybody figures it out. The 500 kilometers might seem daunting, but again, we break it down into those tiny little chunks. And before you know it, you're riding 100 kilometers and thinking you're invincible.
Absolutely. And then yeah, it's the most amazing experience. I cannot recommend it enough. Claire, I've got a bit of a closing tradition on the podcast where you leave a personal development tool, book, resource, or podcast for our listeners. Do you have something that you can share?
Yeah, I think, well, I shared 2 last week and I'll share the same again. So, one book that's got me through a number of situations this year, both professionally and personally, is Mel Robbins' Let Them. I
Love
think
it.
probably one that comes up for a lot of people. And the other one is AI for the Driven Leader, which is a book that a friend of mine gifted me. Interesting. Had a long conversation with him on a bike in Thailand about AI and just how we can best use it at hands. And he sent me this book and I started diving into it a couple of weeks ago and I'm loving it. Like, it's just making me think so differently about AI. And so they would be my two.
I'm going to go and download that straight after here. Claire, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. You are exceptional human and very inspiring. And I'm really grateful that you've joined me for this conversation.
Thanks, Kylie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmio.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmio is KOLMEO.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.